Hello? Mm, good. Hello? Hello. There we go. Ooh. Hello. Oh, yay! Hello, hello, mic check.
Hey, how you guys doing? You guys all good? Check, check.
Okay.
Ani, Bojo. How's everybody doing out there? My name's Ashley Manatwabi, and I'm your host for the 13th annual 6 Foot Festival. I'd like to welcome everyone that's tuning in. Uh, Next out, who we have up is we're going to be doing a three Kweok panel. So we have Stephanie Recollet, Courtney Keurig, and Manado Beneshi that are on stage right now. And so if you have any questions for these three Kweok here, you could put it in the chat and then we'll try to relate your messages to them once we get to that time. So they'll be speaking a little bit each and then yeah, we'll go through the discussion after that. Naha, and there's Sunny behind me. Ani, Sunny. Naha, we'll get straight to it. So the three Quail panel. Naha, you're good.
Do we introduce ourselves?
Yeah, you could introduce
Okay.
yourself.
Ani Bojo. Minagishkat Kinuea. My name is Stephanie Recollet. Jijak Dodem Wanapting Ndojaba. My name is Stephanie Recollet, and I'm from Wanapate First Nation. And it's a pleasure to be here today on the panel along with these wonderful ladies, and looking forward to sharing some information this afternoon.
Ani Kinawea, Migaze Kwe Dijnikas on the Gamnakan Donjaba, Makwa Dodem. My name is Courtney Keurig. I am from Onnet Gamnakan First Nation, and I am very excited to be here today and to just discuss about connecting to the land with my fellow ladies here. Miigwech.
Ani Menado Beneshi Digo Mangdodem Tikmikshing Anishinabek Donjaba Meanwhile Weekwim Kong unceded territory. I'm of the Three Fires Confederacy and I'm just happy to be here. Thank you for sitting with us and asking us to be here. Miigwech.
Great. I do have some photos to show if you wanted to um, put me up. So today I'm going to be talking about reclaiming our foodways by following our harvesting cycles. So as I mentioned, my homelands is Wanapate First Nation. We are in the Sudbury area. We're impacted by a lot of mining there. We had acid rain, so a lot of issues with some of our traditional foods have been impacted by the environmental effects of the the development that's been happening in our area. So one of the things that I've been working on is food security and waste reduction. So this actually shows that food security actually drives the need for us to depend on Western foods, and it actually increases our waste generation, which makes its way into the environment, and it's uptaken by the environment, the contaminants, and it affects our animals and our plants, and it reduces our quality. Therefore, it becomes a cycle of food insecurity. So we started trying to figure out if we can reverse that cycle and start going back to our traditional foods and understanding our Anishinaabe foodways, which was already embedded into our system of timekeeping and into the 13 moon calendar. So for us, I'm just going to start the little my quick journey at Zispatoke Gises, which is the sugar moon. So my family has a sugar bush in Point Grandine. We do this in the early winter. All of our family is involved in that. Everyone has a lot of work to do. We make our own maple syrup, and then after that, we start with our birch season. So we tap our birch trees. It takes a lot more um, sap to make a birch syrup than it does for maple syrup. It's not as sweet. And we also started in the spring. We begin doing our planting, getting our grounds ready. So right here, I just wanted to talk about the humble beginnings that we have. In our household, we just started off with three garden beds that we put together, but we've grown it since then. We have an orchard that we've started. And one of the things I wanted to stress is getting like the Benojis involved in doing the work. So here I have my daughter Maya and my granddaughter Faith here helping out. Also, because I'm focusing on waste reduction in these connections with our foods, so we use a lot of our recycling, upcycling toilet paper rolls, and we even experimented with egg cartons and shells, which were less successful because their root systems get bound up in them. But there are a lot of things that you can do to start your seeds in. And this here, I just wanted to show that nature does provide. So rather than buying anything new or using plastics, we made garden hoops out of saplings, wigwam style. So just use what's in your environment. Um, and this here is upcycling. So lumber prices are skyrocketing. So use what's around you. So you can see this is just like natural lumber that you cut in the woods. And this photo here is actually a garden bed made out of an old box spring, which I thought was genius. My cousin put together. And then, of course, I had to experiment with the three sisters and companion planting. So when you're in the spring and you're doing your garden planting, you want to make sure you're putting things beside each other that's going to complement each other. And um, one of our old technologies or techniques, I should say, is our three sisters companion planting. So the corn, beans, and the squash complement each other. The beans climb the corn. The squash provides ground cover to keep in the moisture. So yeah, I had this for the last 2 years and just getting better. So we're just starting out. Also in the spring, we do our medicine camps. It happens several times a year, but in the spring, we focus on our roots and our shoots. So you can see we're harvesting our roots there. And then, of course, we're heading into summer because I'm doing the full cycle here. So this is Mingises. This is our berry moon. This is when we have the time of abundance and we have, all of our berries are coming out. So in these photos, you can see my granddaughter picking strawberries with her grandma. It was her first time out and she just knew exactly what to do. She didn't have to be told anything, just gave her a basket and she went out and, and harvested just like just what in her heart, what told her to do. We also focus on feast bundles because we are about waste reduction. So me and my family started Nishinaki, which is like Good Earth. So we create these little feast bundles, these little utensils to help eliminate single disposable use plastics. So bring these to your events, keep them with you, your feast bundle. And okay, and then we're heading into summer. So at this time, we're having, our harvests are becoming ready for picking. We're making a lot of, get to go into dope wind food, so right to our table from our garden. And then preserving our harvests. Once you have all that abundance and it starts getting cold, you have to start bringing that all in and making your sauces, making your salsas, your hot sauces, just to make sure you're not wasting any of that good stuff that you grew. And then seed saving is something that we've been focusing on a lot. So one of this one here is one of the cautions I wanted to throw out is when you're working with chilies, wear gloves and don't touch your face because you will mace yourself and it really hurts. It lasts a long time. And I see you guys smiling about that as well. And then I wanted to touch on our rematriation work that we're doing. We have grown a number of indigenous varieties, and we're trying to help protect the biological integrity of those species that we are entrusted with. A lot of these seeds have stories that are attached to them. A lot of them have really great creation or like where they were found in old clay pots, in old medicine pouches that were discovered in archaeological um, excursions and things like that. So, very interesting work that's happening. There is a movement growing for people who are doing this kind of work, and we're lucky to have a few that we've been entrusted with. I consider seed saving to be a revolutionary act. For us, we call this our badass spinach, and I hope I could say ass, but for us, it's going against the industrial seed complex, um, focusing on growing heirlooms and organic varieties that actually, can reseed in the future rather than the GMOs and that control that's happening through corporations and corporate ownership, the loss of diversity. So making sure we're protecting those heirloom and indigenous varieties. And seed saving, I just wanted to also point out that it's not just vegetables. We also seed save from our medicines and our helper plants. And by helper plants, I mean the ones that we plant with the other ones to help them thrive. So we grow marigolds with our tomatoes to help with some of the pests that are there. And then, of course, sharing the love, sharing the knowledge, the seeds, the techniques. So me and my daughter, we make seed packets and we give them out to our community in the spring, hoping to, get everybody involved in growing some food. We do our medicine picking come the fall. We have our fruit orchards. So, we have just our two apple trees that we started. We also do mushroom harvesting and we do wild mushroom foraging. And of course, we took a workshop for that. We learned all about it. We have a lot of reference materials because there's a lot of toxic lookalikes that we want to make sure nobody's just going out and eating anything. And then we also like to cook with all of our fresh stuff. So I just wanted to show a photo of like some of the wild mushroom stews that we make with some of our wild meats that we've harvested. And then of course in the fall we have our fall hunt camp. So this is when our communities get together. A lot of intergenerational transfer of knowledge is happening at this time. You have your moose hunt, you're camping, you're learning how to cook on the fire. A lot of fun things too, like moose calling contests. Um, you know, Poker games happening in the evening and things like that. And I just wanted to point out like our traditional meats, cooking with our wild meats, it's better for us. It's more ethical. They're not like industrial farmed. They don't have the steroids or the antibiotics that we have to worry about with, um, you know, factory farm meats. And then finally, we do this throughout this year, but a lot of the time in the fall and in the winter, we're cleaning and harvesting, making medicines. We make salves and our nibishobo, our teas, and yeah, and that's it for me. Thank you so much. This is my granddaughter eating fresh tomatoes out of my garden, and yeah, thank you so much.
Hello. Hello. Chimigwech, Stephanie. That was a pretty awesome presentation that you did there. I was like, oh, there's other people like me do stuff that I do. It's like awesome. I don't feel alone anymore. So next up that we have is all the way from AOK on the Gamna Kanin. It's Courtney Kirk. So um, uh, she's gonna share a lot. So are you ready, Courtney?
Right. Ani everyone. So, my gardening journey, it kind of started about 5 years ago. Well, maybe seven now. My son is seven, so it started when my son was born. Um, and it started with working for an organization that worked with community gardening. And my coworker really kind of introduced me to this whole world of food systems, food sovereignty, food security, and what that means and what that looks like for people. And it really just opened my eyes. And when we got to the farm, and as soon as I got my hands dirty in the dirt there, that was it for me. I fell in love. I fell in love with the soil. I fell in love with nature. I fell in love with our Mother Earth. And I felt like whole again. And I was like, wow, this is amazing. And so for me, connection to land is connection to your spirit. And I really believe that. And and you see all the mental health, all the addictions, all the sickness, all the illnesses out there. It's because we're disconnected. We're disconnected from the land, which means we're disconnected from our spirits. And I think that the land is the answer, right? It's Mother Earth. It's getting your hands dirty. It's growing those foods with your children and watching your grandchildren enjoy that fruit that took so long to grow. And then, like it's harvesting time and you're so excited. It's like, it's amazing, and it helps so many people when they do get out there and start enjoying Mother Earth. And so going back to where my journey started, I started doing a lot of community gardening and making a lot of connections with Ashley and with other organizations and other individuals and groups and committees that were just all working towards the same goal. And it was really exciting. And um, so we created this program, and our team implemented a program called Harvest to Share. And Harvest to Share was to kind of enhance access to wild game and foraged foods, our traditional foods that we ate before colonization, and eating within the seasons. Like Stephanie mentioned, like being less dependent on those imported foods that are really bad for the environment. And so we created this program called Harvest to Share, and we were trying to think of ways of how can we stockpile wild game and provide access to it for individuals in the community and for communities for their community events and their funerals and their ceremonies. So since you can't purchase wild game, we kind of like thought about this model of like, okay, so we'll cover the butcher fee for wild game and for a percentage of the meat in return to stockpile. So this program worked out really well, and I had like four freezers just filled with meat and filled with berries, and we had maple syrup, we had wild rice, we had preserves that communities would donate, and it was based on a referral system. So all you had to do to access this meat or this food was to fill out a referral system, and it was delivered to you. And I really enjoyed that. It was a really great initiative, and I have since moved on from that, but I know that program continues today, and it's really amazing to see that happening, and it makes me really excited. And so currently now I work at a mental health and addictions center called Debajehmujig, and the whole healing is on the land. Because like I said, when we're disconnected with the land, we're disconnected with our spirits, and we're disconnected with ourselves, and we become distracted, and we start to kind of move away from that path that we're supposed to be on. And I just want to teach this to my children to stop those intergenerational traumas too as well, because we don't only carry that intergenerational trauma, we also carry resilience. And that's what I want to focus on, and that's what I want to promote in my own community. And it even starts with our soil health, right? Like we can't have chemicals in our soil, we can't grow in that. And that translates to community. You have a little seed, like a little baby, and if that baby is in a sick environment, just trying to grow in sand or whatever that has no nutrients in it, it's not going to grow properly. And that translates to our communities. If we have children in our community that are growing up with sick in a sick community, how are they taking care of that seed? You know? So I'm just trying to do my small part and kind of just role model that and say, like there is positive out there. You just have to get your hands dirty. And like I've heard before, the creator will always meet us halfway. And so does Mother Earth. She always meets us halfway. You put that seed in and she does all the work, all the work. And all we have to do is meet her halfway to water it, to make sure it's getting sunlight, to make sure it's getting those nutrients in the soil to grow and to thrive. And I think that's just amazing. And yeah, and I really just want to share that with everybody. And I hope everyone in this life gets that opportunity to feel that and be connected with Mother Earth. Miigwech.
Ah, Chimiquech, Courtney. Wow. It's the first time I heard that one. Meet Mother Earth halfway. So I'm gonna think about that. And I have three daughters. I call them my three sisters too. It reminds me of the three sisters, and yeah, they all work together. That's pretty cool. So next that we have Manado Beneshi, who's gonna present a little bit. She's gonna share a little bit on what she does. We're just setting up her PowerPoint there with a few images, and we'll get that started shortly once we get the screen on. So hopefully everyone's uh, tuning in. You could ask some questions if you like online, and we'll be happy to ask the three Kweoks up there on stage. How's it going? Do you got it on? Okay, hold on. Okay, so all right. So now we got Manado Beneshi. Oh, not this one.
Ani, I'm feeling really proud to be sitting up here right now. Just hearing you before me is really inspiring and motivating. It makes me also feel like um, I'm not alone in this journey, and it feels really good to have three strong women up here with me, just giving me this energy. So, right now, currently, I'm the creator of Menado Beneshi Dreams, and it's more than just a garden space. It's an edible forest. It's an organic space. It's an art studio. It's off grid. So these are all the things that have helped me through my own journey. This is a lifelong journey that I've been on. I've been slowly growing and learning on the land my whole life. I was lucky enough to be raised on the land through land based living and survival, through gathering, through harvesting, through learning medicines. I got to do hunting and fishing. I got to like be on the land throughout the year, um, at all times. There was never a time when we weren't out there doing something in the seasons, going with the seasons and following the seasons, seeing what the animals are doing, and just learning from our environment and teaching us what we need to be doing to get ready for our own seasons. So Menado Beneshi Dreams does go out year round. We'll do things in the summertime, like we do planting, harvesting. In the winters, we'll do like snowshoeing, fire cookouts, harvesting wild medicines. In the fall time, I do a lot of harvesting and planting, a lot of fall planting, a lot of processing, drying herbs, also like collecting seeds. So I've only really been gardening since 2020. I feel like it was a blessing to me when I lost my job in the mainstream industry, because it brought me back to myself. It brought me back to Mother Earth. It brought me back to these things that bring me this passion. And why I'm doing this is because of our future and our young people coming up behind us. And I think about the ancestors who were here before me and what they did to make sure that I'm here, what they did to bring our teachings forward, what they did to help us um, see clearly in a colonized way. Um, so, what I'm doing with my space is decolonizing mind, body, and soul. And that requires a lot of therapy. And most times, this therapy that I'm doing is in the garden. It's putting my hands in the soil. It's feeling that connection again from my spirit to Mother Earth and being able to find peace, to find this calmness, to be able to just sit down, take a break, listen to the things that are happening around me. Um, it started to bring this awareness of the different birds that I'm hearing and how many different species there are around me when it comes to not just the animals but also to the medicines, and learning how to integrate our communities to help each other to the same goal, which is surviving in a world that is destructing itself. And so, how do we become the harm reduction? How do we become a part of that role that's helping the ecosystem regrow and heal itself? We become those people by changing things in our lives every day. And that could be recycling, upcycling. It could be, instead of throwing your things at the landfill, you're donating them to people who can use them. Putting a call out there for people who might be interested in anything that you have to get rid of, and instead of, you know, watching people around you struggling, we're trying to do our part to help little by little, because what really drove me through this journey since 2020 to teaching food as medicine and teaching the different medicines around us in our region, was literally seeing communities that I'm from dying, and seeing other communities around us dying, not just from health reasons, but from other reasons. And Western medicine doesn't always have the answer for us. But I know that our medicines and our elders do, because we know how to take care of ourselves. We just need to listen to the signs that we're being given, because to me, a lot of what's happening through my life now to become healthier, to become better for the young people, is coming from the things that I'm seeing happening in my communities. It's coming from watching the little ones and letting them know that they don't have to follow in the footsteps of their parents. They can do what they want to do. Their dreams are valid, and like nothing is impossible. If we put our minds to these things, our energy will carry us forward in the right path. And I just feel like a lot of that comes from finding a passion for something. So, I create the safe space to bring people in. And if they're not confident in the craft that they're doing, this is where they can come to be confident in the craft. They can come to practice these things. They can come to try them for the first time. But it's really about experimenting with what we can be good at, because we all have a role to play within this world. That whether that means we're the ones that are gardening, or we're the ones that are hunting and fishing, um, we're the artists who are telling our stories and creating a space for the future people to see the change that we're making today, because we're all following in the ancestors' footsteps. We're all like drawing our energy and our strength from them. And that's how I'm able to keep doing this and being here today, and being able to sit here with other people in this room that are doing the same thing makes me feel like I'm going to be okay. And every time that I feel like giving up, I know that I just have the support of everyone that's here to say, "Hey, look, we want to hear some more. Like, let's get together, let's talk about this, because these are difficult conversations to have." And for me, it's all about how do we bring forward the youth to take the stage, because I'll tell you right now, in my garden, the biggest helpers I have are the youth. And the youth are stepping up. They want to learn more. They want to do things. They want to get their hands dirty, and they want to be the ones doing these things and showing other people that they can do them. And so, every time you bring them into a space and you show them something new, they're going to show the next person. And then that person's going to be able to show the next person. And it just becomes this connection through community where we're building our own community. It doesn't matter if we're not all from the same territory, because we're all building the same community, and that's a safe community and a healthy community. And so when we're living by the land, we're learning from the land, and we're being able to show that to not just our own communities, but the communities outside of ours who don't understand where we're coming from or what we're doing. Because I really like to promote the education of not exploiting our culture, but sharing about our culture and being proud of that culture in a way that we can integrate communities to share each other's culture. Because no matter who you are, where you come from, you're coming from an ancestor before you. And sometimes I have to tell myself it's not my fault. It's not my fault that there's addictions. It's not my fault that there's alcoholism, and it's not my fault that you can't help everyone. But the fact is, starting somewhere and being able to be that one person who can say, I'm here for you no matter what. You want to come to the garden and learn something, you want to just be there and visit, you want to sit down, you want to have a meal. Well, that's what we do in the garden. We pick fresh salads, we eat, we, cook on the fire, we camp out, we live off the land. There's no running water, there's no electricity, there's no real, I guess, I don't know what you call them, luxuries. I guess, these are real luxuries we're living in these times. But there's something so satisfying about this off grid living and about upcycling and recycling things that are old and bringing them into new life. There's something so fascinating about that to me. Most of my pots at the garden come from the dump. A lot of my furniture comes from the dump. Dressers, tables, patio sets. Like, I've gotten solar lights at the dump, and I mean, they work. Like, there's nothing wrong with these things, right? It's just, how do we go back to that way where we can fix things, or we can, polish it up, clean it up. It's it's not garbage because it's dirty. I mean, as much as we want to think that, and we do live in a disposable world, but those are ways that we can change what we're doing. And if you don't have room for those things, then maybe think about donating them to the community, or letting people know that you have these things around. Um, because again, that makes other people feel safe to come into the space and do what they need to do. There's no shame, there's no looking away. There's just helping our community, and that community is who we make that community to be. And that family becomes bigger and bigger as we go, the further along that we go. And I'm saying this because I've had people all over the world talk to me about this food sovereignty. And like, what is food sovereignty? Food sovereignty is basically governing the food that you have within your like body, within your place, within yourself to give. And it's being able to know that it's non-GMO, it's organically, no chemicals, grown, and it's done in a way that you feel is right to you in your heart, because it's coming from the heart, because it's born with you. That's in your DNA from the time your ancestors before you, what they have been doing is instilled within our DNA. So it's in our blood to do these things. We just need to harness our gifts, and we need to keep striving for those things to happen the way that we want them to happen. Because the only way for us to keep this momentum of change is to keep going when we feel like giving up. And I'll tell you, I get that a lot. I get that feeling a lot, and there's always something that comes and brings me back to this energy and oh yeah, this is why I'm doing this. This is why I gotta think about saving the landfill. This is why I'm keeping plastic cups. Like, I'm doing this for a reason, and it's to make something bigger and better. And right now, I have so many people interested in eco arts. We painted a mural on a sea can that's being recycled, turned into a studio space. Um, the eco printing is basically using plants to dye fabrics and creating your own fabrics out of beautiful plants, and collecting old rusty objects and turning that rust into a dye onto the fabric to make it a beautiful color. So that's a workshop that I'll be hosting at Menado Beneshi Dreams tomorrow. Like, these are some of the things that I'm trying to do to help people see that they can too make these little steps in their life to try something new, to try something eco-friendly. And if you don't know how to garden, it's okay. It all starts with one seed. And those seeds are so important because they become the heirlooms. They become the seeds that we brought to forth to the people and the future generations. So I just want to thank everybody for taking time to listen and just be here with us. And thank you to everyone for asking me to be here. Miigwech. Thank you, ladies.
Aha, Chimmy Gwedge, Manado Baneshi. It's my cousin there. I haven't actually been to your garden, but I need to make it out there. Need to check out all your gardens there. They all look pretty good, and just hearing all the little stories and inspiration. There was questions that I had, and then Manado Baneshi like answering them all. I was like, okay, what am I supposed to ask now? I was like, she probably already knew what I was gonna ask. But I know one question that I had is, I guess, based on inspiration. What are some inspirations uh, that keep you going? Like, is there like some examples or like anything like that that could help others to be inspired or motivated to continue this great work that you're all three are doing? So anybody could go first.
Um, Hello? Good. Okay. So yeah, so a lot of my inspiration for starting this kind of work, and I think it's the same as some of our communities who are starting to think about food security and food sovereignty, is seeing the way that society is headed. And there may not be these luxuries in the future that we're dependent on right now. And in order for us to continue to thrive as an Anishinaabe, for us is to build that resiliency in ourselves and our families and in our communities. I kind of went over the deep end, became like a prepper a little bit, like one of those like zombie freak kind of peoples. Um, but for real, like we started making sure we knew where our water sources were, how to clean water, making sure we knew how to grow our food, what was in the area, what medicines we need. We started even just like the basic things like our salves and stuff. My granddaughter had really bad eczema, so I learned how to make a salve for that, and you know what I mean. So those things that aren't going to be available in the future, let's say the way that climate change is headed, and we're seeing our disruptions in our transportation networks, and we're seeing empty shelves at the grocery store, and we're seeing pandemics closing down our communities and restricting our mobility and our ability to go to places and to get things. So for me, it really made me realize that we have to really start being self-reliant where we are, because we might not have those things in the future. And I noticed like a lot of our communities are doing that as well. They're getting on board with these programs, with your program. That sounds amazing. I'm seeing an uptick in like people um, raising chickens and getting their own eggs and doing, some small like agricultural initiatives and stuff around, and beekeeping and things like that. All things that are that are in my wish list for my future. But definitely, I think it was just out of necessity and kind of, I don't want to really say fear, because I think it's not really fear driven. It's just, having that safety of being okay if the bad things happen, which, it's it is kind of scary because it seems like we're heading that way. But hopefully, our communities will be ready for that. And thank goodness, like Atiki Mixing has you, and your community has you, and you know what I mean. So all of these people who are the ones who are spearheading and driving these programs and these initiatives and getting everyone involved, like these young people who we're working with, they're going to know what to do. They're going to be a lot more comfortable and less fearful, for the future. So, miigwech.
Does anybody want to go next?
What inspires our passion? What keeps me inspired? Everything she said, for one. um, but for me, it's my children. That those 7 generations that will become ahead of us, and what kind of world do we want to create and leave for them? And yeah, I do get kind of discouraged. My plants got wiped out by the potato beetle, and we got hit hard by so many pests this year that we hadn't experienced in the past. But everything's a learning curve, and it makes you stronger in the end. And then talking with like-minded people, that is my biggest inspiration. When Ashley asked me to be here today, I was kind of like, oh, I'm not ready for that kind of speaking yet. But I'm like, you know what? I'm going to go there to meet these beautiful, awesome Kweok that are like minded, and I'm probably going to make these connections that will outlive just this one little scary talking session. So it was totally worth it. And I'm so thankful, Ashley, for having you reach out to me. And thank you, Chimigwech.
Chimigwech. Uh, Manado Baneshi, would you want to say a few more words there?
Sure. I can always say some more words. um, so for me, inspiration really comes from uh, this lack of reciprocal relationships around me. I found it to be very hard, losing people around me in my community, and then feeling this loss of connection just because the ones that were there for me and the ones that I've lost are, a big part of my connection. They're a big part of my energy. And you notice the change in your atmosphere after that change happens. And sometimes it's really good, and sometimes it's really hard. For me, it was a little bit of both. I was able to transition into a healthier lifestyle because of the things that have affected me in a way that I never thought they would. And um, depression is a serious thing. And so for me, finding therapy in these, like, my love of culture, being able to do artwork, beading, jewelry work, leather work, those are the things that help me channel my energy into staying on the right track. And um, then learning how to garden just became a whole new um, therapy and mindset for me, because it was a way for me to take care of myself in something that I love doing, and it's something that I still love to do now. But the thing that really sparked my relationship with gardening and the edible forest was the reciprocal relationships of not just you and the land, but you and the animals and the ecosystem around you, and the unconditional love that was given. All these beautiful foods and fruits and medicines, all this beautiful water. It's all given to us for free from Mother Earth. Like, I don't believe that any single person should have to pay for food and water. And this is why Menado Beneshi Dreams donates all the food that comes out of the garden, and it goes to the community or to the communities around me. It integrates my community with the non-native community, because I'm able to teach them that this is all we're doing. We're taking care of the land, and we're trying to have a reciprocal relationship. And so that's where a lot of my drive and inspiration comes from, is that being able to integrate our communities to work together to survive. So miigwech, yeah.
Chimigwech, is there any questions in the audience? If you have any questions, just come to me or come close to a mic. Another question that I have for you three is if you want to get started on connecting back to Mother Earth, how does one person do that? Like, because I know there's a lot of people out there that uh, it's like, well, I don't have money or I don't have this, I don't have that, thinking about that way. But yeah, so almost like, how did you get started to just take that first step?
Uh, for me, like we just started really really small, and and you can really start anywhere. One of the things that I want to stress is like use what you have, learn where you can, find some mentors, or the internet just has like grandfather Google. You can find almost anything on there. But even if you just live in a small apartment, you can have a balcony garden. You can still, there's certain things that you could do. You could even still go out and learn the medicines that are in your area. Even if you are urban, Anishinaabe, there's still medicines that just like they call them weeds, but for us, like if you actually learn those spirits in those plants and what they're able to do, you can really just get that knowledge anywhere you want. And like I said, you don't need to have a big thing. You you just like you just feel it, like what you said, right? It's like if you're really interested in something and you want to learn, then I don't really think there's much that can stop you. I think you're gonna go out and find it. Your spirit's gonna bring you to people who are also gonna help you. The reason why all three of us are brought together here is, I don't really think it's by chance. It's, our spirits are meant to meet each other and to feed each other and to make sure that we build each other up and grow. So we can go back to, our own communities and do the same and um, spread that drive or that hunger for it. And yeah, I think that's it for me.
Chimigwech, I just want to say, you just reminded me, I forgot to mention, why did I pick three Kweoks? There was actually, I was planning a lot. There's going to be a lot of stuff happening this festival. And what happened is I just woke up one day and it's like, I need to get three Kweok here that are connected to the land. I just woke up one day and that's what came to mind. I don't know why it just came up, and then I just thought about you three, and then you all three agreed, and I had others too that I was gonna ask if you didn't, but yeah, Chimigach for sharing that. Wow. So we'll go to either Matado Beneshi or Courtney Kirik.
How does one get started? Well, for me, it was through, well, I was raised by my grandparents who were both attended residential school, and I grew up seeing how much the land was healing, especially for my grandfather. I was his little buddy. I was the one that went on trips with him everywhere. We would go up to the bush. We would just go hunting for partridge or go track moose, or we would go down to the lake and we would go fishing. And that's where I really felt the most connection with myself and with the environment, with everything, and with him. And um, my grandparents, they got to an age where they couldn't really spend much time on a rebellious teenager. So I got disconnected there from the land, from my spirit. And so when I became a mother 7 years ago, I knew that I needed to find that connection again, not only for myself, but for my family. And I knew that that was the most important thing that will help bring healing to my family and to myself as well. So for me, yeah, it was just taking that step. I was a receptionist at a organization, and and this job opportunity arose, and I was like, oh, Indigenous Foods Coordinator. I'm like, oh, well, what is that? And I looked at the description and I'm like, okay, I think I can do this. So, and that's where it started for me. And I translated that to home because it's a lifestyle. It's not just a job that you go to, a 9 to 5 job. Okay, I'm done. And so it was a lifestyle. So I translated to my home, and we started off with like just two little gardens, 8 by 4, 2 beds, and then it grew from there. So we upscaled and we went. We have 40 by 20, two big plots in our yard now. So our 1 little acre or 2 acre lot there on the reserve is our house and garden. And then we do have a little space for the kids to play on the trampoline. But so our long-term vision is to have our whole like our piece of land there to have, gardens and fruit trees. Like we've transplanted trees into the yard. We have apple trees. We grow a variety of stuff in our garden. Um, we understand the importance of companion planting and planting those plants that will help complement each other. And for me, it was also just getting involved in community gardening. So going to community gardens, like, yeah, I was green. I didn't know much about anything, but you visit a garden and the people that are there are just so excited that you're there, that you want to learn, and it's like it's so welcoming. I Every garden you go to, I'm sure they will be welcoming you with wide open arms. And that's where it can start for you too, is just looking in your own community, in your own resources. Where are those community gardens? Where are those people that are doing this work? And just connecting with them. Miigwech.
Miigwech. So for me, it all started, I would say, in 2018, I started to get really serious about health. And that was because I lost my father to cancer. And I have been a water protector, a land defender, and just a protector of the culture most of my life. But I think I really started to activate in the community when I was in my 20s. And that's because our water is polluted with arsenic from mine tailings. And to me, it was really important to um, talk about cleaning this up and talking about how do we get them to take action on this, because it's affecting not only our water, it's affecting the community as a whole. It's affecting the ecosystem, and the water feeds the plants and the plants feed the animals, and it just became this question of, are people getting sick because of what's contaminated right now in our community. And so that's where my passion for land defending came from, water protecting, because that's where my father and my grandfather and my ancestors have always done that. And so it started in the garden in 2020. The pandemic, lost my career, and said, okay, well, I still have to provide. So this is what I'm going to do. I was donated seeds, and I was donated seedlings. And I said, I'm going to make a home for these things because um, I didn't want to kill anything. I didn't want to clear cut anything. And so I just started making beds around the natural medicines. And whenever I needed to make a bed and there was medicines there, I would harvest those medicines, and then I would make a new bed, and I would do this organic kind of garden bed making. And it became, the base was some weeds that were, all dead for a few weeks, and then you put some cardboard down, and then you put your bed on there and put all your good healthy soil. You add your own nutrients to the soil, but making sure that these are organic things and materials that you're using, so that you can create a nice, rich, healthy soil every year. And then it started composting, and then I started, saving seeds, and then I started to get more seed donations and more seedling donations. And then I started to get donations of trees. So my edible forest, I started with 5 that I bought for myself to put within all the wild fruits. And then it grew to like 21 now. And these are just from the donations that people are bringing forward. And it's because Minado Beneshi Dreams is funded through donations and fundraising. I don't take out any lines of credit. Everything on the property is bought with my own money. And that's, again, another lesson in how do we create um, a footprint that is going to create a happy, healthy Mother Earth. And that's by, eliminating our, I guess, consumerism and starting to reuse, reduce, and recycle the things around us. And so that's why the sea cans that I have became one of the biggest parts of my project, because that's going to become an off-grid studio at some point. And I mean, I'm only going into year 3 now, and I'm starting to save seeds. I'm starting to learn more about the medicines. I'm starting to learn more about gardening itself. And going to community gardens is how I started my own space, because I went into community gardens to learn from people who have been doing this, to learn from people who, can't have their own gardens, but they can create a community, and they all help within these community gardens and these edible forests, and they call them urban farms because, it's in the city, and where I come from, it's in the country. And so I create another safe space for them to come to when they want to have a different energy outside of the city. They can come and experience the garden on the land in this like solitude, where they can get the full experience of what it is like to have that connection to Mother Earth. And I find a lot of people come there for healing, and um, and I think that's the main connection throughout my journey, was looking for healing, looking for identity, looking for the history of my ancestors, so that I can understand better, why am I so passionate about the land? Why am I so passionate about saving the water? And why am I so passionate about everything happening around me? It's because of the ancestors who led the way before me, and knowing that we all have these roles to play. Like, we can't do it all by ourselves. You need somebody to come into the garden to do hard labor. You need somebody to come into the garden to help move soil, to help harvest, to help seed save, to help doing so many things. Like, you got to haul water, you got so many things to do in the garden. There's just not enough time in the day. So a little bit of help goes a long way. And you know that's where we become a part of this community. And so right now, everybody being here, listening to us, and being here with us, you're now a part of our community, and we can all say that we're a part of this family that is going to make the change for food and healthy lifestyles. Miigwech.
Chumigwech. I just like to say Chumigwech to all three of yous. Yeah, that was lots of inspiration right there and motivation. Like, I better, yeah, do more. I know I've been procrastinating a little bit, but I still have seeds though. I have a lot of seeds at home. I believe all of you probably have seeds too at home, getting them ready for the next season. Um, yeah, I think our time's up. I just want to ask more questions. I want this to go longer. Ask more questions. Oh my God. So I just like to say Chimigwech, everyone that's online and in person. Thank you, all three. Let's give them a round of applause. Yeah.